Okay, Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Let me try this again. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Let me try that again. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Allahu Akbar. Okay, so the deal is I'm going to talk while you guys eat. All right, so that's the deal. So you guys can go ahead and eat and enjoy your food and listen to some discussion about the rights of the body over you. I was initially supposed to speak about the rights of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, but I thought that would spoil your meal, because I don't want anybody walking away feeling upset or feeling, in their feelings because you feel like you're not really giving Allah His rights. We want to end this night on a good note. And it almost seemed like everything just kind of aligned naturally, because you guys are eating and I'm getting ready to start a lecture about the rights of your body over you. So you might want to wait before you start taking some food in your mouth. You might want to hold tight before you do that. All right. Alhamdulillahi Rabbil Alameen wa salatu wa salam ala ashrafil anbiya'i wal mursaleen wa ala alihi wa ashabihi ajma'een. So the premise of my talk is based upon a profound statement that was made by one of the Sahaba to another. Salman al-Farisi is someone who the Prophet ﷺ made a special pact of brotherhood between him and Abu Darda. And so one day, Salman al-Farisi, he went to the house of Abu Darda to go visit him. And his wife, Darda, came to the door, as the narration mentioned, mutabaddila, dressed in shabby clothes. And when Salman al-Farisi saw her dressed like this, he asked her, Ma sha'nuki? What's wrong with you? Why are you dressed like this? And this was before the ayat of hijab, right? Before the ayat commanding the women to cover was revealed. So Salman asked Darda, Ma sha'nuki? Why are you dressed like this? And Darda, she said, Akhuka Abu Darda alaysa lahu haja fi dunya. Your brother Abu Darda, he has no concern for the life of this world. That was a metaphor for the fact that he was neglecting her. He wasn't showing her attention, because as the narration will clarify, that he was fasting all day, praying all night, leaving very little time for his wife. So Abu Darda comes home and he serves Salman lunch as his guest. And Salman says to him, Abu Darda said to him, Kul, eat. And Salman says, Ma ana bi'akil hatta ta'kul. I'm not going to eat until you eat. He wanted him to break his fast. This shows us the permissibility of breaking a supererogatory fast if in fact a guest is over your house, or you're entertaining a guest. So as long as it's a supererogatory fast, then it is permissible to break the fast under those and other conditions. So Abu Darda broke his fast and he ate along with him. Nighttime came and Abu Darda got up to pray. And Salman told him, Nam, go to sleep, it's not time to pray. So he waits till the third of the night and he gets up to pray. Salman prays alongside of him. After they make the taslim, Salman turns to Abu Darda and gave him some man-to-man advice. And of course, advice of this magnitude, it's very sensitive to instruct a man on how he should interact with his wife. It's very sensitive. And not everybody is built for that, and not everybody is required to do that. There should be a rapport between you and the brother that you decide to advise him about his wife, if you want it to be received, obviously, in the best way. So Salman looks at Abu Darda and he says to him, Inna li rabbika alayka haqqa. وإن لنفسك عليك حقا وإن لأهلك عليك حقا فأعطي كل ذي حق حقه. He said, indeed, your Lord has a right over you. Your Lord has a right over you. Your body has a right over you. And your wife has a right over you. فَأَعْطِي كُلَّ ذِي حَقٍّ حَقَّهُ. So give everyone that has a right their rights. So this is the premise of my talk about the right of your body over you. The body, brothers and sisters, the meal has not come out yet, so I need you guys to pay attention. This physical body that you are walking around with every day, the sole purpose of your body is to serve as a vessel for your soul. Your body is allowing your soul to have a human experience, a physical experience on this earth. Otherwise, your soul would not be able to occupy this physical space that we live in, because your soul is of a different realm. Follow me. So your body is a vessel that is allowing your soul to exist in this physical realm that we live in. And so this is your body's purpose, to serve as a vessel, to carry the soul through this human experience. And while that being the case, the body and the soul are interconnected with one another. Meaning what pains the body pains the soul. Follow me. The trauma that you put your body through is connected to the trauma that you're putting your soul through. Evidenced by the fact that some scholars say that the adab al-qabr, the punishment of the grave, although it is a punishment on the soul is still connected to the body in the grave. So it's actually a punishment on both. Some bodies have emerged from the ground and marks can be actually seen on the body. Physical marks on the body. The Prophet ﷺ, he passed by two graves and he said, إِنَّهُمَا لَيُعَذَّبَانِ وَلَا يُعَذَّبَانِ فِي كَبِيرٍ وَإِنَّهُ لَكَبِيرٌ. He said, these two people in these graves are being tortured in their graves, not for something major, but for something serious. He said, as for the first one, كَانَ يَمْشِي بَيْنَ النَّاسِ بِالنَّمِيمَةِ. As the first one, he used to go to this person and relay what this person said about them, and go to that person and tell them what that person said about them. An-Nammam, the Prophet ﷺ said, La yadkhul al-jannah an-Nammam. The Nammam, the person who practices namima, will not enter into paradise. Be very careful of listening to someone talk about a person and then go back to that person and say, guess what such and such said about you. That is actually one of the reasons a person will be punished in his grave. Don't come to me and tell me what somebody said about me. Especially if it's a man. Because there's nothing more feminine than for a man to talk to another man and say, guess what such and such said about you. Really? A man came to the Prophet ﷺ and said, guess what such and such said about such and such. The Prophet said, the shaitan couldn't find anybody other than you to bring me that. Why do I want to hear what another man says about me? A man said about behind the Prophet's back that he was giving away charity, and he said that the Prophet doesn't desire by his distribution justice, nor is he doing it for the sake of Allah. Abdullah ibn Mas'ud said, Wallahi la ukhbiranna an-Nabi sallallahu alayhi wa sallam bima qult. He said, Wallahi, I'm going to go tell the Prophet what you said. And when he told the Prophet sallallahu alayhi wa sallam, his face became red. And he said, Rahimallah Musa, qad udhiya bi akthar min hadha fasabara. He said, may Allah have mercy on Musa. He was harmed with worse than this, and he was even more patient. And Abdullah ibn Mas'ud said, when I saw the Prophet become angry, I swore at that moment that I would never bring him something somebody said about him again. Because if you really care about a man, you would never go to them and say, guess what such and such said about you. You playing the devil's advocate. You playing the role of shaitan to bring disheartening information, to bring discrediting information to your brother to make him feel less than. He said, as for the second one, فَكَانَ لَا يَسْتَبْرِئُ مِنْ بَوْلِهِ, he didn't keep himself free from his urine. Go to the bathroom, urinate all over the place, urine splash on his clothes, and therefore his salat is unacceptable. So this affirms for us the punishment in the grave. And the scholars say the punishment in the grave, although on the soul, the body is also punished. So the body and the soul are interconnected with one another. If the body is unhealthy as it relates to its ability to carry out its functions, it subjects the soul to a tumultuous human experience. I'll say that again. If the body is unhealthy, whether spiritually, morally, or physically, if the body is unhealthy, it is subjecting the soul to a tumultuous human experience. How? The soul is tortured on account of the body's inability to function the way that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala intended it to. And this is especially true if the soul is organically good. It's a good-natured soul. Some people, they just have good hearts, good souls. They're just naturally, organically good. And it wants to do good. But the body is prohibited from doing good because it is unhealthy, whether physically, morally, or spiritually. The soul wants to do good, but the body is punishing it because the body is morally compromised, spiritually compromised. The soul wants to pray. Think about a person who walks past the masjid, drives past the masjid. His soul wants to go in and pray, but the body has more control over it. So the body disregards the salah, disregards the masjid and drives by. So the soul is punished as a result, right? You guys following me? The soul is punished. Think about the person, right, who goes against his own morals. You're working at a job, and job says we're going to move you up in position. But you got to forsake some of your morals. You got to forsake some of your religious values. And you go ahead and you do it. Your soul is being tortured because internally you know it's wrong. And you really don't want to do it. But your body is in control. And it desires what it wants. So you are actually torturing your own soul. Think about a person who does something wrong. A man came to the Prophet ﷺ and he said, "Jitta li tas'al an al-birr." You came to ask me about righteousness? He said, "Istafti qalbik." Ask your heart. He said, righteousness, al-birr, matma'anna ilayhi an-nafs. He said, righteousness is what the soul feels good about. When you do it, you feel good. You don't ever have to make any excuses. You don't owe anybody any explanations. Because you did it and your soul feels good about it. He said, "Wal itham," and sin, mahaka fi nafs, is what wavers in the chest. وَكَرِهْتَ أَنْ يَطَّلِعَ عَلَيْهِ النَّاسِ, and you hate for people to find out about it. That's that internal warfare. You did something wrong. Internally, you know it was wrong. Physically, you went ahead and you did it. You are torturing yourself. You guys following me, or am I putting you to sleep? Okay. All right. So the soul is tortured on account of the body's inability to function the way that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala intended it to. This is especially true if the soul is organically pure and good-natured and actually craves a closer relationship to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. The function of an unhealthy body to the soul. Let me give you a metaphor so you understand what I'm talking about. The relationship between an unhealthy body and a pure soul is like a dirty cup that you pour pure water into. A cup serves as a vessel for your water. You pour water into the cup and you're allowed to now be mobile with your water because the cup serves as the vessel that allows you to transport it from point A to point B. During the time of the Prophet ﷺ, he used to carry water skins. Right? Mufti carries a thermos for his tea. Right? So it allows the tea to be mobile. Move from point A to point B. So the thermos is the vessel. If you have a dirty cup and you pour Fiji water, my favorite. I think Fiji is the closest to Zamzam we're going to get. In my opinion. Just my opinion, you know. It's not New York tap water. No, all pun intended, New Yorkers. Allahu Akbar. Assalamu alaikum. If the cup is dirty and you pour pure water into the cup, it doesn't matter how pure the water is, the vessel which is carrying the water is filthy. So it's going to sully the pureness of the water. And that's what happens when the body gives in to its animalistic impulses. As Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says that we have created the human being, وَلَقَدْ خَلَقْنَا الْإِنسَانَ فِي أَحْسَنِ تَقْوِيمٍ. We've created the human being in the best of modes. And the scholars of tafsir that say that means أن الإنسان مركب من روح وجسد. That the human being is comprised of a soul and a body. A soul and a body. And if the human being manages to overcome his animalistic impulses, he actually becomes better than an angel. He's better than the malaika. Because although he has human impulses and desires and urges, he manages to overcome them despite them. And so therefore he actually becomes better than angels. And he can actually become worse than an animal when he gives in to his impulses, because Allah gave you intellect instead of instinct. And you become asfal as-safilin, as Allah mentioned at the end of the ayat. Alright, ثُمَّ جَعَلْنَاهُ ثُمَّ رَدَدْنَاهُ أَسْفَلَ السَّافِلِينَ. And then we debase him to be the lowest of the low. He's lower than an animal. Allah says about those who fail to use their intellect and logic, driven by the predisposition to believe in God, that they are worse than animals. إِنْهُمْ كَالْأَنْعَامِ بَلْ هُمْ أَضَلُّ. They are like animals. They are like cattle, even more astray than cattle. So the function or the likeliness or the likelihood or the likeness of the unhealthy body to the pure soul is like a dirty cup that you pour water into. It doesn't matter how fresh or how pure the water is, if it's poured into a vessel that is dirty or unsanitary, that will sully and corrupt the water. There is Islamic conduct for how we should treat our bodies. The statement of Salman, إِنَّ لِرَبِّكَ عَلَيْكَ حَقًّا وَإِنَّ لِنَفْسِكَ عَلَيْكَ حَقًّا. And indeed your Lord has a right over you and your body has a right over you. That means that there is an Islamic conduct of how we should treat our bodies. How we should manage our bodies throughout this human experience, which contributes to our physical, mental, and spiritual wellness. The Prophet ﷺ, he said, إِنَّ الْمُؤْمِنِ يَأْكُلُ فِي مِعًا وَاحِدٍ وَالْكَافِرِ يَأْكُلُ فِي سَبَعَةِ أَمْعَاءٍ. That the believer eats to fill only one part or portion of his intestines, while someone who has no consciousness of God, a disbeliever, someone who is not conscious, right, not functioning on that level of awareness, he eats until he is completely full. That as Muslims, there's a conduct in how we carry ourselves as it relates to our bodies. We don't fill our intestines up to the point where you can't breathe, where you're so stuffed that you just want to go lay down and go to sleep. Not only is that unhealthy, but it also infringes on the soul's ability to serve Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Once you eat and you get full to that point, you want to go to sleep. You don't want to worship. Which is why many people who go home after Maghrib, right, during Ramadan, to go home and eat, never make it back to the masjid for Salatul Isha and subsequently Qiyamul Layl or Taraweeh. They never make it back to the masjid. Why? Because you eat until you're full and then you go to sleep. I'll get up later. I'll pray Isha before Fajr. I'll get up in the third of the night and I'll pray. Meanwhile, the Prophet ﷺ said, "Man qama ma'al imam hatta yansarif imanan wa ihtisaba." Whoever stands with the imam until he finishes the prayer, it will be written for him as if he stood up the whole night in prayer. We let that entire ajr, we let that entire reward go by us because we went home and stuffed ourselves, and it infringed on the souls. The soul wanted to come back to the masjid. We make promises. I'm coming back to the masjid. I'm going to go home, grab something to eat real quick. The soul is inclined. There's an inclination towards coming back to the masjid to pray and to worship. It's Ramadan. But the body has, sullied that inclination by becoming lazy. So you can see how the body, when it is unhealthy, it infringes on the soul's ability to want to get closer to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. There's no coincidence that fasting and an increase in spiritual awareness and consciousness go hand in hand. This is why Aisha radiallahu ta'ala anha, if you ever thought about that, who fasts, and when you fast, you find that your intibah, your ability to focus, to pay attention, your tarkeez, your concentration increases. Anybody experience that? Absolutely. What's the connection? What is the connection between emptying your stomach and you being more spiritually aware, conscious, and more invigorated to worship and to serve? What's the connection there? Aisha radiallahu ta'ala anha, she said that the Prophet sallallahu alayhi wa sallam, إِذَا دَخَلَ عَشْرًا min Ramadan, that when the last 10 nights of Ramadan entered, the Prophet sallallahu alayhi wa sallam, كَانَ يَشُدُّ مِئْزَرَهُ, he used to fasten his belt, fasten his waist belt. Some of the scholars say that is a metaphor for staying away from intimacy with his wives, even during the last 10 nights. And some scholars say, no, it means that he would decrease his intake of food. He would eat less. You see the connection? Eating less, doing more. See the connection? Not stuffing yourself and using the additional energy that you have to get closer to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. This is what ascetics do. They stay away from the dunya, they stay away from all of these distractions. And they use the extra energy that they have for Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. All right, so it's important to see the connection between the two. All right? And if we don't consider these obligations and these codes of conduct in the way that we carry our bodies and the way that we treat our bodies, there will be divine repercussions. Do you think that you can do to your body whatever you want to, and that is not going to have divine consequences? Oh, there are consequences for treating this vessel any way you want to. People get tattoos all over. Muslims, tattoos. Don't kid yourself. A lot of these tattoos that we see on Instagram on Muslims are not before you took your shahada. Nah, I'm sorry, I ain't buying that. A lot of these tattoos is post-shahada. Facts. And actually the person who gets tattooed is actually cursed in the sunnah of the Prophet ﷺ. And there are other divine repercussions for, doing these type of things to our bodies. The body will testify against the human being on the Day of Judgment. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will give the body on the Day of Judgment its opportunity to speak its piece. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says in the Quran, يَوْمَ نَخْتِمُ عَلَىٰ أَفْوَاهِهِمْ وتكلمنا أيديهم وتشهد أرجلهم بما كانوا يكسبون. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala said, on a day when we will seal your mouth shut. نختم على أفواههم. We will seal your mouth shut. وتكلمنا أيديهم, and your hands will speak to us. وَتَشْهَدُ أَرْجُلُهُمْ, and your feet will bear witness against you about all of the things that you used to do. The body will be given its turn to speak. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala mentions in another ayat a conversation between the human being and his body. The human being will say, لِمَا شَهِدْتُمْ عَلَيْنَا, why are you testifying against me? And the body will respond back, قَالُوا أَنْطَقَنَا اللَّهُ الَّذِي أَنْطَقَ كُلَّ شَيْءٍ. Allah is the one who gave us the ability to speak, the one who gives anything the ability to speak. You didn't think that this day was going to come when Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is going to give your body the ability to speak and to testify against you? You thought that you could do whatever you wanted to do with your body? And your body was not going to have its day in court? Your body will have its day in court. Because this vessel that was given to you to give your soul a human experience is an amana, it's a trust, just like anything else Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has given you. It's a ni'mah that you will be questioned about. ثُمَّ لَتُسْأَلُنَّ يَوْمَئِذٍ عَنِ النَّعِيمِ. And then on that day, you will be asked about every na'im, every ni'mah that Allah gave you. He's going to ask you about it. What about your body? And in this life, your body talks to you. When you have a headache, that is indicative of something going wrong in your body. Maybe you're dehydrated, you haven't had enough water, and it's your body telling you you need water. She doesn't know how to say daddy, so she says Dee. Leave her. Go ahead and go sit down. Go sit down. She's fine. She's amongst family. She's good. Go have a seat. Thank you. Our bodies speak to us in this life. When the heart has been broken, when you've done something wrong, when you're about to commit a sin, sometimes your body might start shaking. You might get cold, ice cold, because you're getting ready to do something that is going to torture your soul. So it's important for us to respond to our bodies in this life rather than waiting for the hereafter for the bodies to testify against us. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala mentions in the Quran about the people in the hellfire, where their bodies will be burnt to a crisp. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, listen to this ayah. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, كُلَّمَا نَضِجَتْ جُلُودُهُمْ بدلناهم جلودا غيرها ليذوقوا العذاب. And every time their skin burns up, we will strip them of that skin and give them new skin. ليذوقوا العذاب. So they can taste the punishment. This is punishment on the body and the soul. Punishment on the body and the soul. Every time the skin burns to a crisp, the next time you fry chicken, you're probably not going to look at frying chicken the same after this. Every time the skin burns up in the hellfire, Allah will remove the skin and replace it with new skin so that you can feel the pain. And that is, as Shaykh al-Islam ibn Taymiyyah rahimahullah ta'ala, he said that the position of Ahlul Sunnah as it relates to the punishment, al-adab wal-na'im, punishment and bliss in the hereafter, that it is on both the body and the soul. Both the body and the soul has that experience. And although this ayah is in the context of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, treating the body without regard for the soul's return to its Lord is a crime not only against the body but against the soul, because it impacts our ability to concentrate in our worship and our self-confidence as well. So although in this ayah, in the specific context of this ayah, the body is being punished because of its being used in the disobedience to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, treating the body without regard for the soul's return back to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is without a doubt a crime against the soul. Your soul is supposed to return back to God. Your body is the vessel, is the key to making sure that this soul returns back to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, as he says, Ya ayyatuha an-nafsul mutma'innah ارجعي إلى ربك راضية مرضية فادخلي في عبادي وادخلي جنتي. Allah says, "O you tranquil soul, nafs mutma'inna, O you tranquil soul, you peaceful soul, you soul that is at peace with itself," because the human body understood the importance of making sure that that soul returns back to its creator in the best possible version of itself. That's your body's responsibility. That the angels receive your soul with goodness. The angel comes to take the soul from the body gently. Right? Not rip it from the body. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala swears by the angels that take the soul gently from the body. That extraction. You want to make sure that your extraction is gentle. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says in the Quran, وَالنَّازِعَاتِ غَرْقًا وَالنَّاشِطَاتِ نَشْطًا. And by the nazi'ati gharqa, by the angels that rip the soul out of the body. The extraction is very painful because you didn't take into consideration that your body was responsible for making sure that that soul returns back to its Lord, mutma'inna, peaceful and tranquil, having no animosity, nothing against another individual, another Muslim, having done wrong to no one except itself. That perhaps Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, you've made enough tawbah that Allah will forgive you. That's how we want to leave this earth. Umar on his deathbed, dying, the Sahaba said, "Oh, you the messenger, you're the companion of the messenger, Abu Bakr, you're the companion of the messenger of Allah, you travel with him, you were in the cave with him, Allah revealed ayats." And Abu Bakr said, "La li wa la aliyya." I just want to leave this world having owe no one anything and nobody owing me nothing. Even Steve. I paid off all my debts. I apologize to everybody I offended. And I can leave this earth in peace. As the angels come to extract, the extraction of the soul. وَالنَّاشِطَاتِ نَشْطًا. The angel that comes and takes the soul gently. The Prophet ﷺ gave a metaphor. He said like a drop of water coming out of the water skin. It's very easy. That's how the soul is extracted from the body. So understand the connection between the soul and the body. So let me just leave you guys with some tips that can help us perform better as Muslims. All right, stop making a distinction between your soul and the body. One impacts the other. Number one, this is my advice. You don't have to take it. I'm not giving you an ayah from the Quran, although I could. I'm not giving you a hadith from the Sunnah of the Prophet ﷺ, although I could. First thing, Muslim brothers and sisters, please, I'm going to do to you like I do to my children in school. Eyes on me. 1, 2, 3. Yeah. I've embraced this whole teacher thing. Eyes on me. Eat organic. I can't say that enough. Eat organic. Pay attention to the ingredients that you are eating, that you are digesting, that you are feeding your family. We can't stress that enough. Eat organic. Eat healthy. It's not about going to the gym and working out. The starting place for losing weight, the starting place for feeling better about yourself is to eat healthy. You are what you eat. So if you're eating genetically modified food, then guess what? You are genetically modified. You are what you eat. Eat organic. Number 2, reduce the amount of intake of food. It is not mandatory, nor is it sunnah, that you eat 3 times a day. You do not have to eat 3 times a day. It's a farce. As first world problems. You don't have to eat 3 times a day. Decrease your intake of food. Aisha radiallahu anha, she said that there would be months that would go by and the stove of the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam would not be lit. He didn't eat cooked food every single day. Months would go by and the only thing he survived off of was dates and water. Something non-Muslims have also caught on to these raw diets. You're going to eat raw vegetables for a whole month. And you can see that they figured it out. But the blueprint is in the Quran and the Sunnah from the very beginning. It's there. People are eating raw vegetables for a month and losing weight so much. You ain't even have to step in the gym. You don't have to eat 3 times a day. Decrease your intake of food. Every meal doesn't have, and sisters, let me help you with that. You want to know how you can get your husband to stop eating like he's the king, like Mufasa, right? You got to have this big old plate. And mashallah, that plate doesn't validate you. You don't have to have the biggest steak. Believe it or not, sometimes in my own home, I got, this guy eat way more than I do. He gets the biggest piece. I usually do not. If it's in one household, it's this one. If it's in another household, it's the other one. You don't have to have the biggest steak, the biggest piece. That doesn't validate you as the man of the house. Everybody know you're still a man of the house. You ain't got to have the biggest piece and the most food out of everybody. Sisters, let me help you out with that. You see these little plates on the table? Serve his dinner on that. Put everything on the little plate. When you say, honey, why are you bringing me the little plate? Because we're following the sunnah. We're decreasing our intake. After about They say it takes 21 days to create a habit, right? After about 3 weeks, that small plate starts to look like a huge plate. It starts to look normal. Because you're changing things around in the home. The way that some of us function in our homes is unhealthy, man. And then we wonder why we're so toxic in our relationships. We're so toxic. Look at the type of food that you are digesting. Some of us still eat McDonald's and Wendy's and Popeyes. Stop eating that stuff. Yeah, if you putting your hand on your head, you feel bad. I mean, if the shoe fits, buy an outfit. Tons of overgarments out there, tons of thobes out there. Go pick your outfit. No, serious, man. I mean, I'm saying this out of love. Stop eating that stuff, man. The chicken tastes like rubber. It's not even real food. It's not real food, and we feeding our children this stuff. How in the world they giving you a 20-piece chicken McNugget for $1.99? Who gives away that much fresh chicken, real chicken, for $1.99? Because it ain't chicken. 10 years from now, they'll be giving you a 40-piece for $2. Because it ain't chicken. This is the stuff we feeding our kids. Let me just pull over and go to McDonald's real quick. No. Stop giving your children Capri Suns, high fructose syrup. Stop giving your children this stuff, man. Stop giving your children soy, high levels of estrogen. Effeminizing our boys. You wonder why your 5, 6, 7, 8-year-old got feminine behaviors. Kids talking about they were born gay. Yeah, you were, because when your mother was pregnant with you, she was eating all types of stuff, and you didn't realize the impact that was going to have on you. So, in fact, they might be born that way. Be aware of the stuff that we are digesting. You are what you eat. You are responsible for making sure your soul has a healthy experience while occupying your body. So increase in our fasting. Start fasting Mondays and Thursdays. It's from the sunnah of the Prophet ﷺ. Not to mention there's a ton of wisdom in that, both physically and spiritually. Don't you know that the angels that are writing down your deeds, they leave on Monday and another group of angels come down on Monday as Salatul Fajr. So you begin your day fasting, praying, and that's the way one angel ends your record. And how one angel begins your new record. Those angels that come down on Monday, they stay with you until Thursday. And at the time of Salatul Fajr, those angels that are coming down to replace them, they pray Salatul Fajr, they close their record, they leave, go up to Allah. The Prophet ﷺ said, I like to fast while my record is being taken up to Allah. And the Prophet ﷺ said, there's no servant, listen to this. There's no servant who Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala opens his sahifa وفي أولها الاستغفار وفي آخرها استغفار إلا غفره الله subhanahu wa ta'ala. There's no servant who, when Allah opens up your record, at the beginning of your record is you asking Allah for forgiveness, and at the end of your record is you asking Allah for forgiveness, except that Allah will forgive you. When the angels come down on Monday, we miss Salatul Fajr, we sleep. Angels recording, you sleep. No fasting, you sleep, you miss Fajr. Understand the wisdom that is in that. Not to mention fasting every other day was the fast of Dawood, Prophet Dawood alayhi salam. And the Prophet ﷺ said this is the best of fasting. This is intermittent fasting, something that non-Muslims are actually doing today. Athletes have now, sworn by intermittent fasting every other day to detox your body. Some of us have parasites in our body you don't even realize from the meat that you eat. And that's another thing, you don't have to eat meat every day. You don't have to eat meat every single day. Let your body process the meat that is in there. It takes about 3 to 7 days for your body to process beef. So think about if you eating burgers at McDonald's, you eating fake beef on top of that every day, every other day. You got so much stuff wrapped up in your body, it's ridiculous, man. You need to detox. clean your system out. And there's no better detox, no more organic detox than fasting. The greatest way to clean your system out. And not only are you cleaning your system out, you're cleaning everything out that is toxic, including some of the mentalities that some of us carry. Am I making sense? All right, because maybe some people thought that it's not imams or students of knowledge position to talk about food and healthy eating. There's a whole entire book, The Prophetic Medicine. There's a brother who's from our community who lives in Qatar right now, Brother Dwight Battle, Abu Aliyah, and he's compiled a piece of work called The Diet of the Prophet Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam. Some of the drinks the Prophet used to drink, water and honey. The Prophet encouraged us to take black seed. That black seed is a cure for everything except death. I mean, these are all prophetic things that non-Muslims are figuring out. The benefits of hummus, the benefits of zayt, of olive oil. Cook your food in olive oil, organic olive oil. Stop using a slab of butter. We stick the spoon in the butter and it's not even butter. It's margarine and artificially made butter. Now, it's not even real butter. And then we stick the spoon in there and throw a clump of it in the frying pan and you frying all your food in there. You don't see anything wrong with that? Rather than using organic, organic olive oil. And Allah forbid that we're still eating canned food. We have to change that, man. Change that mentality. That's stuff that we brought with us from the things that our parents, that was normalized in the house of our parents. When we know better, we do better. Our parents, maybe they didn't function, on that level of consciousness. But it's too much information out here now for us to ignore this. And lastly, or second to last, stop eating out. Eat at home. The meals that your wife cooks you, the meals that your family cook, that's made with love. You go to a restaurant, person is in the back cooking, you don't know what their sanitary, methods are, if they even sanitary. Please stop eating Chinese food. Please. It's not even food. Don't you know that the meatballs that they were selling at IKEA was horse, not beef? The meatballs that some of you guys in here right now was eating at IKEA was horse, not beef. I just want you guys, don't kill the messenger. I'm just stating facts. Stop eating out. Eat at home. Save your money. Save your money. We go out and we want to have a nice time. You can go out and have a nice time without spending hundreds of dollars on taking your family out for dinner. Cook at home. Save yourself some money. The food is better. I don't know about you, but there's no food that I love to eat other than the food that is cooked in my homes. Period. And lastly, exercise. Exercising is healthy. It doesn't mean that you have to get on a treadmill. It doesn't mean you have to go and pump weights. Go to the park and walk. The Prophet ﷺ said, Burika ummati fi bukuriha, that the barakah of my ummah has been placed in its morning, in its early part. After you pray Salatul Fajr, get out and go to the park and go walk. It's barakah. The barakah is there. Take advantage of it. Just get out and walk. They have apps on your phone and on your smartwatches where you can calculate how many steps you're supposed to take in a day. Anybody got that app on their phone? One person, raise their hand. MashaAllah. No. Put your hands there. Lying is haram. It's an app that can actually calculate how many steps that you should take a day. And for those of us who live in the suburbs, stop driving everywhere. Walk. You can walk to the mailbox. It's not a big deal. We drive everywhere. which contributes to our laziness. So, these are just some things that I wanted to mention so that we can begin focusing on being more healthy. I hope, inshallah ta'ala, for those of you who and it doesn't cost a lot of money, organic food might be a couple of dollars extra, but it's worth it. It's your health. Once you start going to the hospital, it's like hospitals function like car garages. You ever take your car to a mechanic, and after you take the car to the mechanic, everything just start breaking down in the car? It's like I bought the car here for you to fix one thing, and I got to come back for another thing. Because what mechanics do is the same thing doctors do. They don't treat the root problem, they treat the symptoms. So when you go to the doctor for pancreatic cancer or colon cancer or diabetes or whatever the case may be, you're on a hamster wheel. And they're going to keep you on a hamster wheel as long as they can. The pharmaceutical companies in our country here are some of the biggest and most wealthiest organizations known to American consumerism, to American, this whole, doing business. Biggest corporations in our country. The drug industry. Philadelphia, where my Philly people at? You already know. University of Penn got the whole city sold up. It's a hospital, a clinic, or this on every single corner. And many of the people in Philadelphia, believe it or not, even young people, are sick, have some type of sickness or illness. That's not coincidental. Constantly running back and forth to the hospital for this and for that. It's all a game. It's all a game. They got to create the problem and then charge you for the solution. It's American capitalism. Create the problem, and then we charge you money to fix for the solution to it. That's how it works. So may Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala bless you all. I hope I didn't ruin your dinner. I hope I empowered you to now go home and start making smarter choices in terms of the things that you eat, in terms of the way that you carry yourself. Turn the TV off, get some sleep. Sitting down watching TV to de-escalate, to come down after a long days of work. There's nothing more de-escalating than just sitting in the silence of your space. Just sitting there, silence. There's nothing more soothing and comforting than that. Some of us come and we turn the TV on and we think that that's our way of just kind of, coming down off of, a rough day at work. It's still requiring of you to use some of your brain cells. Enjoy the space that you have, the quietness, the stillness, contemplating and reflecting on your next move, contemplating on your life. This is all part of ibadah, tafakkur. Tadabbur, contemplation and reflection. That's part of our deen. هذا وصلى الله على نبينا محمد وعلى آله وصحبه وسلم تسليما كثيرا وآخر دعوانا أن الحمد لله رب العالمين. You guys have been great. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala reward you. Wassalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.